Okay, it's brew day. We have taken the sanitizer. This is a no rinse sanitizer and my beer fridge bottles. And we've added that to a bucket here to keep it clean and stirred it up well. I've added it over into my brew bucket and sterilized that. Then I've poured it back into here. Next thing we need to do is we are going to try to follow the directions of this. I think it works pretty well. Is add 12.5 quarts of water. So 3.5 gallons or so to the bucket. So I'm going to heat that up using hot water out of the tap and pour it into the bucket over there. So we'll be able to get it heating. And it'll save a little bit of time because we need to take this up to like 160 degrees, I think. We'll have to check that and see exactly. Yes, I believe, yes, 160 degrees. So this will get us part way there anyways. So we'll pick up the next step after I get it in there and start heating it up. Okay, we've got the 3 gallons of water. We're going to go ahead and 2 cups, so that would give us our full 12.5, and we'll dump those in. It's hot, and we'll get this to 160 degrees. And we'll dump this one in next, I reckon. And then we'll put the rest of the water in there to make up the difference. And there we go. And come back in a minute. Okay, so we've got that, and now we're going to check a reading, see how warm we are to start out with. So we just drop my temperature into the bucket, and we've got the fire on high, and it looks like we're about 129 and a little better, and it's rising rapidly with the fire up on high, so we got to keep an eye on it to get to 160. So we'll be back checking it in a little bit. Okay, now we're going to prepare for the next stage while this is heating up on the stove. We look at our directions. This says we'll need another 4 gallons of water, heated to 170 degrees for the mash out. So we're going to go ahead and sterilize this bucket, 5-gallon bucket, and get it on the stove next to it and start heating it up to get it to that 170. So when we're ready, it'll be good. Okay, we've got our second can set up. We're going to go ahead and dump the 4 gallons into this one so we can start heating it up. And while that's coming out fairly warm, like I say, saves us a little bit of the propane anyways, getting it heated up. The other one's getting pretty close, I think, to ready too. So we'll do a quick check on the temperature, because like I say, we're getting to 160. So set that in there, and we are sitting at 149, 150. So we're really getting close. So we hurry this step up, I think, to get ready for it. We've got our other 3 gallons. I'll add that. We're also, at this time, we're going to go ahead and set up for our siphon rig and our blow off so we can be ready, and we've already sterilized our spoon. So we'll sterilize all that, and we're also going to sterilize our fermenting bucket. I've taken our cleaner already and thrown it in there. I'll stir that, shake it up good, make sure it's sterilized, and get the heat on this back kettle. Of course, we've got about an hour before that has to be up to 170 degrees. So that's it for a minute. Okay, it's been a couple of minutes. Let's see how close we are on our water. Take a quick check. Looks like we overshot it by a little bit. Not bad. It cool back off. Turn the heat down a little bit. So our next step, we're supposed to do it at 160, and we're just a touch over it. And when we add this, it says we should drop it. Probably will go down to about 150 degrees or thereabouts when we add the grains. So our grain is here, and like I say, we are making a this particular one is an all Irish stout all grain crushed. So we'll just dump the entire bag in here and and stir it in a little bit, and it should be about the consistency of oatmeal when we do that. So can't do this all at one time with one hand, so hold by. Okay, we've dumped it in. Now we're going to go ahead and see if we can just stir it a little bit and get it down into the water, get it all mixed in. It should be soaking up a lot of this water, so it'll be fairly thick here and solid in a minute, I think. And we'll take a temperature reading. It should have dropped. Not doing good with my camera and stirring. It should drop to approximately 150, so we'll check that. See how close they actually are. Okay, we're into it, and we're a degree or two hot, but we're right there at it. I think that'll be fine. And at this point, we want to take it back up to 144 to 152 degrees. Stir every 10 minutes. So we're right about on line. So we don't need to add a whole lot of heat to it. So we've got the heat turned down to low, and we'll kind of keep an eye on that. And every 10 minutes, we'll stir it. So we'll start our timer on that. It's 8:59. So 9 o'clock, 9:10, we'll stir it again. Okay, so we got another timer set here for 1 hour. So every 10 minutes, we're going to stir in the mash and keep that at 144 to 152. And we're allowing that to heat up. That'll go to 170 by the time we get this done. And while we're doing that, we've added our sterilizing to this. And I want to run that through this hose, our siphoning hose. So I'm just going to siphon it back into the bucket. And that way we'll have a good flow through this. And this is really quite easy. You pump it a couple times and it'll start siphoning all on its own. And we'll just let that run through there. It's not going to hurt anything. It'll take all that we can get out of the bucket, put it into that one. And while we're doing that, we also need to sterilize this one here. So we'll throw these parts in the water and let that start sterilizing. And that should do it. We've got about 8 minutes on that. Our temperature on this, we just verify one more time that it's sitting within the range that we want, and it looks like we're at about 149, 150, so we're pretty good. Might have to turn the heat down even a little bit more. I don't want to go over. We're pretty close. So sometimes I don't think we need heat on at all, so we might just shut it off, and we'll monitor it. Okay, it's 9:10. We're going to stir this in a little bit and make sure it looks like a consistency of oatmeal. It looks to be pretty good. So that looks pretty decent. Shake that off and set it over here out of the way. And we'll take another measurement to see what our temperature is dropping to. And let's stick that in there, and it looks like 152, 151. Kind of moving it around to get a general, make sure it's pretty close everywhere. Looks pretty good. And the heat is off, so we'll just cover it back up and we'll let it go like that for a while longer. That'll be fine. Our other pot is on heat, and we're trying to get it to the 170 mark, so we are 139, 140, so it's coming up nicely. We'll probably shut that off here in a little bit because it'll be there before we're ready. And sterilize this, and I've got a sparging bag. I'm going to go ahead and, when we move this over, we're going to sparge. I want to collect the grains in that so I don't have to work so hard trying to separate them when I move it back and forth. So for the next hour, every 10 minutes, we'll stir it, and not much else going on between now and then. Now it seems that flies also like beer making. Caution, there is harm done to flies in the making of this video, but my salt gun will take care of those flies. Something handy to have around on brew day. Okay, we're down to less than a minute. So we're going to go over the next couple steps here, see how much we can capture. But according to this, we should go ahead and heat this up to 170 degrees. And then we'll add it. Well, actually, I'm over here on this step. Keep it in a range. After 60 minutes, heat to 170 degrees while constantly stirring the mash. So that's what we're going for now. Let's see how close we are to 100 again, and we'll stir it. So we're at, with the heat totally off, we have maintained right in the temperature range I think we needed to. So there's a hot spot of 151. So we stayed right there at it with the heat off completely. So we'll go ahead and let's see how our water's doing here. We'll need this in a couple of minutes. Looks like it's 167. So we'll have to take that up another 3 degrees. Stop our timer. And what we'll do is go ahead and start this back up. Oh, oops, there. And start. Okay, that was fun. We'll start the stirring continuously and get it to 170 degrees. And we'll start this one back up and get it just up to the, put it on low so it'll get to 170 also. And that'll get us ready for the next stage, and we're set up in our bucket to collect the mash once we get to that. So that should get us ready. Okay, it's been about 18 minutes we've been stirring, and we wanted to get this to 170 degrees. So we're going to see here, depending on where we're at, someplace, any place from 172 to 169. So we're pretty darn close anyway. And our water needs to be at 170. So we're going to put that in there, and it's sitting at real consistent, right about 170. The drain does heat up a little different. So we're ready to go now. We need to drain this, and I've moved my my filter out to the outside because it's been known to make a mess at it on occasions. So we're going to see if we can do this without making a mess, but let's see how it goes. Okay, so this kettle's pretty warm, so we're going to try to do this and get it in there without burning ourselves. Looks like we were pretty successful in getting it in there without making a big mess. So that was a good improvement. Now we'll move it back over here and add some more. Okay, I have successfully made a mess, as I normally do. We've got that off, and we're supposed to pour the water from here over that and capture it. And so we're going to try to do that, see if there's enough room even in the bucket to do that. This is where we always run into a question of how we're supposed to get that much into here. So let me see how it happens, and I'm going to siphon it off of this one with my siphon hose here. And that shouldn't be too difficult, but I don't know as I can do it by myself and do the video at the same time. So we're going to hook that to that and see if we can do it. Yes, this is not going to work while filming, so I'll move it over and see how we make out for progress. Okay, so I tried to get it all into this pot, but there was not enough room, so I moved it over to that one and finished putting the water into that one. So now it's supposed to go back across that one more time. So I'm going to set this one back up on top here in place of that bucket, and we're going to get as much of it as I can back into that bucket before we put it back on and cook it again. So let's see if I can do this without making a mess again. Okay, so now we're trying this method. I don't know. We're siphoning it out of that, held up by a couple sticks, and draining into that bucket. I've not seen how to do this, and I don't think this is the best way, but it's kind of working. We're supposed to pass it through, so we'll see. This is taking a while. See how it goes. Okay, so we'll try it this way, and yes, you can see total mess. There's got to be an easier way. I've got to do some research, I guess, because this is not the best way. It cannot be how to brew beer. Okay, so after making a mess and we've washed this all up, we did manage to get the rest of the stuff in here. It's almost full, so this is not going to allow much for boiling, but that's what we've got to bring it to. And by the time I got all done messing around, it's down to 140 degrees, so we've got a ways to go. And now it's 11 o'clock, so it's been 2 hours in the process. Hopefully we can do this without boiling over, which happened the last time we tried this trick. So hopefully I can watch it and it won't happen. And while that's getting up to boil, we'll go ahead and clean up. Okay, it's been an hour, and so we're going to call that cooked off good. So now we need to actually call the cooking and boiling off and all that good. And we've set up the sink with a couple of ice packs, and we'll surround that with some ice. And we'll set the pot in here, fill it up, and cool it off to approximately 70 degrees before we can transfer it over to the brewing bucket. Okay, it's in the ice bath. We'll wait on it to get down to 70, and then we'll be able to move it on over. Okay, while this is cooling down, we're still working on it. We're looking at about what it'd be 1.032, something like that, anyways, or 4. So we'll see how that works out. We're going to call it 1.34. Okay, it's cooled down. It's taken a while because it's fairly warm out here, and it's actually a little bit warmer than I'd like, but you can see it's been quite a while. And it's been in ice, but when it's 80-some degrees outside, it's kind of tough. So anyways, we're going to dump it through the strainer, collect anything we can, and it's also aerates it a little bit, so that's supposed to be better for it. So we'll pour it in there and then add the yeast, close up the bucket. We're ready to put it in the closet. Okay, we poured it in. Now we're, you can see this catches quite a bit of it. We'll try to get as much of the liquid off as possible and still keep it in good shape. We don't want to pour any of that into the thing. We want to keep it clean. Quite nasty it looks, don't it? And it gives us a good aerated batch. And it's just slightly over the 5-gallon mark, so that should give us a full 2 cases of beer, I think. That's what it's supposed to do, so we'll really call that close enough. We'll throw the yeast in there, shake it up, and get ready to go to the closet.